The morning my entire future hinged on started like any other. Except it wasn't. It was the morning. The one I'd been working towards for years. The one where a panel of people I'd never met, sitting thousands of miles away, would decide if I got the full ride scholarship. The one that didn't just cover tuition, but housing, books, everything. My golden ticket out. My alarm went off at 6 a.m., just like I'd planned. Showered, dressed in the professional outfit I'd saved for months to buy. My laptop was charged, internet connection checked 3 times the night before, water bottle, notepad, pen, all laid out. The only thing missing was my passport. My passport, the single most critical piece of identification required by the scholarship committee for the video interview. They'd been very clear. Government-issued ID, passport preferred. You must show it to the camera for verification at the start of the interview. Okay, no big deal. It should be right here, in my desk drawer, where it always is. But it wasn't. My initial calm evaporated into a flicker of annoyance. Maybe I'd put it somewhere else? I checked my backpack from the library. Not there. Checked my jacket pocket. Not there. Checked the bookshelf under papers in my closet. My movements became frantic. My heart rate started to climb. Sweat prickled on my forehead. My eyes darted around the small room I shared with my sister, Emily. Every corner, every surface, nothing. That's when I saw it. Not the passport itself, but something else. A small, brightly colored paperclip I used specifically for clipping my passport photos together. It was lying on the floor right next to the dresser, Emily's dresser. A cold dread, heavier than any panic, settled in my stomach. No way, she wouldn't. But even as the thought formed, I knew she would. And in that instant, standing there, heart pounding, the clock ticking down with maybe 30 minutes left until the most important moment of my life, I realized who had taken my passport. My own sister. And I knew why. Growing up, our house always felt unbalanced, not in a dramatic shouting matches way, but in a subtle, insidious way. Emily was the older one, the charming one, the one who got straight A's without trying. At least that's what she made it look like. The one our parents seemed to naturally gravitate towards. I was the quieter one, the one who had to work twice as hard for everything, both in school and for any scrap of attention or praise at home. Our parents, bless their hearts, weren't monsters. They provided for us, put food on the table, kept a roof over our heads. But they had blind spots the size of Texas, especially when it came to Emily. She could do no wrong in their eyes. Her mistakes were just a phase, or she didn't mean it. My achievements were expected or just lucky. Emily always had to be number one. In school, in sports, even just getting the biggest slice of cake. And as we got older, that competitiveness, that need to be superior, curdled into something ugly. Especially towards me. She'd belittle my friends, scoff at my hobbies, subtly undermine me whenever possible. If I was excited about an exam score, she'd casually mention hers was higher. If I got a part-time job, she'd talk about how she was already thinking about getting a real career. It was exhausting. The scholarship became my focus, my escape route. It wasn't just about the money, though Lord knows money was tight, and this would lift a huge burden off my parents theoretically. It was about proving to myself, and maybe just once to them, that I was capable of something big, something I earned entirely on my own. It was my chance to build a life, my life, free from the constant shadow of Emily's passive aggression and my parents' quiet favoritism. I talked about the scholarship interview for weeks, maybe even months, not in a bragging way, just sharing my nerves, my hopes. So there was absolutely no way Emily didn't know how important today was. Absolutely no way she didn't know I needed that passport. Running on pure adrenaline and mounting panic, I raced downstairs. Emily was sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling on her phone, looking perfectly calm. Too calm. "Emily, have you seen my passport?" My voice was shaking, higher pitched than usual. She looked up, feigning innocence. "Your passport? Why would I see your passport?" It's not in my room. I need it for my interview now. Please, have you seen it? Maybe you moved it by mistake? I tried to keep my voice even, but desperation was creeping in. She yawned, stretching languidly. Nope, didn't touch your stuff. Maybe you lost it, Jen. She used that condescending tone, the one that made my skin crawl. You're always so scatterbrained when you're stressed. Scatterbrained? I was the one who color-coded my notes, planned my study schedule down to 15-minute increments, triple-checked everything. She was the one who left dirty dishes everywhere and borrowed my clothes without asking, and returned them stained. The accusations stung. Emily, this isn't funny. My interview is in like 20 minutes. My future depends on this, I pleaded. Our mom walked into the kitchen, coffee mug in hand. What's all the commotion? Mom, I can't find my passport. Emily says she hasn't seen it, but I need it right now for my scholarship interview, I explained, trying to sound calm despite the frantic energy buzzing beneath my skin. Mom frowned, but not in a sympathetic way, more like I was being a nuisance. Oh, Jenna, really? Losing important documents the morning of your big day? See, this is why you need to be more organized like Emily. I stared at her, aghast. Organized like Emily, the girl who couldn't find her car keys if they weren't hanging on the hook she never used, the girl who kept her room in a perpetual state of chaos. Mom, this isn't about being organized. I know where I keep it. Emily, are you absolutely 100% sure you didn't see it? Or maybe, just maybe, take it. I looked directly at Emily. Her eyes narrowed just slightly. The feigned innocence faltered for just a second. Dad shuffled in, drawn by the raised voices. What's going on? Jenna lost her passport and is accusing Emily of taking it, Mom said, her tone clearly indicating she sided with Emily. Oh, for heaven's sake, Jenna, Dad sighed, rubbing his temples. Emily would never do something like that. Stop making drama. Go look properly. Emily smirked, a tiny, almost imperceptible smirk, but I saw it. She knew, and they believed her, just like always. In that moment, something inside me hardened. The panic was still there, a cold knot in my stomach, but it was quickly being overshadowed by a white-hot wave of anger. Not just at Emily for her petty, cruel act, but at my parents, for their automatic defense of her, their casual dismissal of my distress, their fundamental unwillingness to even consider that their golden child might be in the wrong. They weren't just biased, they were actively enabling her, making me feel invisible and unheard in my own home. This wasn't just about a passport anymore. This was about years of being second best, of being overlooked, of having my feelings and achievements minimized. I couldn't waste another second arguing with them. The interview was looming. I spun around and ran back upstairs, slamming the door to our room. Tears were streaming down my face now, hot and angry. I sank to the floor, my head in my hands. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. They wanted me to fail. My own family wanted me to fail. Lying there on the floor, surrounded by the mess of my frantic search, the despair was overwhelming. It felt like my entire world was crashing down. Not just the scholarship, but the foundation of my family relationships. How could they? How could Emily be so malicious? How could my parents be so blind, so uncaring? This wasn't just a prank, it was sabotage. It was a declaration that my success, my future, was a threat to them, or at least to the fragile ecosystem of favoritism they'd built. For years, I'd tried to earn their approval, their love, by being quiet, compliant, studious, by not rocking the boat. But in this moment, I realized this strategy had failed. It hadn't protected me. It had only made me an easier target. The pain was deep, a raw wound of betrayal. But beneath the pain, slowly, steadily, a different feeling began to stir, a fierce, cold resolve. If they wanted a fight, I would give them one, but not on their terms. I wouldn't scream or beg or cry in front of them again. I would be strategic, I would be silent, and I would make them regret the day they decided to play games with my life. The victim was dead. A survivor, and perhaps something more was beginning to form. Still trembling, I wiped my eyes. Okay, panic won't help, crying won't help, accusations won't help. The passport is gone, for now, but the interview is still happening. They said government issued ID, passport preferred. Preferred. Not mandatory, maybe, and they mentioned verification. Could I? I scrambled to my desk again, pulled out my external hard drive. I have a digital copy of everything important. Every school transcript, every award certificate, every single piece of ID. Why? Because deep down, maybe I always suspected that in this family, I couldn't rely on things being where they should be, or people acting how they should act. A gut feeling? Maybe. Or maybe just years of being subtly undermined had taught me to build my own safety nets. I found the folder. There it was, a high-resolution scan of my passport, both the photo page and the signature page. It even had the corner of the notary public stamp from when I'd had some documents certified for another application months ago. It wasn't the physical passport, but it was proof. I had less than 15 minutes now. My fingers flew across the keyboard. I opened my email, found the contact information for the scholarship committee. I composed an email, brief and to the point. Urgent issue regarding identity verification for interview scheduled at time today. My physical passport is currently inaccessible due to an unforeseen family circumstance. I have attached a scanned, notarized copy of my passport and another government-issued ID. I quickly scanned my driver's license too. Please advise if this is sufficient for verification, or if there is an alternative procedure. I am available and prepared for the interview. I hit send. Then I opened the video conference link. The next few minutes were a blur of anxiety. The committee representative was already there. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it would burst. Good morning, Ms. Name, my last name. We're ready to begin the verification process. Please present your passport to the camera. My stomach dropped. They hadn't seen the email yet, or maybe the scan wasn't enough. This was it. Good morning, I managed, trying to keep my voice steady. I've just sent an urgent email explaining my situation. My physical passport is currently unavailable. I've attached a high-resolution scan and my driver's license. I held up my driver's license to the camera. I understand this is not ideal, and I apologize for the inconvenience, but I hope the scan will be acceptable for verification. The representative paused. My breath hitched. This was the moment of truth. If they said no, it was over. Years of work gone because my sister decided to play a sick game. Then, the representative nodded slowly. One moment, please. Let me check. The longest 30 seconds of my life. Okay, Ms. Jenna, the representative said, looking back at the camera. We've received your email and reviewed the scan. Given the circumstances you mentioned, and the quality and notarization of the scan, we can proceed with the interview using this for initial verification, alongside your driver's license. However, please be aware that providing the physical passport may be required for final confirmation if you are selected. Relief washed over me so intensely I almost sagged in my chair. I wanted to cry again, but this time from sheer, overwhelming relief. I hadn't lost it all, not yet. Thank you. Thank you so much. I understand completely. The interview began, and despite the adrenaline hangover, despite the lingering shock and pain of the morning, I performed. I talked about my passion, my research, my goals. I explained why the scholarship wasn't just an opportunity, but a necessity for someone from my background. I poured every ounce of my energy, focus, and determination into that interview. I spoke with a clarity and conviction I didn't know I possessed. Maybe the morning's drama had stripped away my usual quiet hesitation, leaving only the raw, burning desire to succeed despite everything. When it was over, I closed the laptop and just sat there, exhausted, drained, but alive. I had faced a deliberate act of sabotage from my own family, and at least for now. I had overcome the immediate threat, but overcoming the interview wasn't enough. Not anymore. It wasn't enough to just scrape by or find a workaround. Emily's action and my parents' reaction had fundamentally changed things. They had shown me exactly what they were capable of, how far they would go to hold me back or keep me in a box they approved of. And they had shown me I couldn't trust them. Not with my dreams, not with my security, not with anything truly important. The anger was still there, cold and steady now. It wasn't a fleeting emotion, it was a new foundation. I wasn't just going to get my scholarship and leave. I was going to make sure they understood the consequences of their actions. I was going to get my passport back, of course, but I was also going to get justice. And I was going to do it on my terms, in a way they wouldn't see coming. My immediate panic had led to a workaround. Now my calculated anger would lead to a plan. A better plan. A plan that would turn things around completely. Not just for me, but against them. The days and weeks that followed were strange. Life in the house went back to a tense version of normal. Emily acted like nothing had happened, occasionally making passive-aggressive comments about how hard it must be waiting to hear back about the scholarship. My parents pretended the whole passport incident was just me being dramatic or misplaced it myself. No one apologized. No one asked if I was okay. I played along. I didn't mention the interview result, which I received a week later, a conditional acceptance, pending final verification, and yes, presentation of the physical passport. I was ecstatic, but kept it hidden. I didn't confront Emily about the passport again directly in front of my parents. I needed proof, undeniable proof, because I knew if I just accused her again, it would be my word against hers, and my parents would choose hers every time. So I started watching and listening and planning. I bought a tiny, inexpensive Wi-Fi camera disguised as a USB charger. I placed it subtly in the hallway outside our room, angled towards the door. If anyone went in or out holding something suspicious, I'd catch it. I changed the password to my computer and phone. I started keeping anything truly valuable or important outside the house, in a small rented storage unit only I knew about. Call me paranoid, but they had made me this way. I also started working more hours at my part-time job, saving every penny. The scholarship was amazing, but I needed my own buffer, my own emergency fund. Financial independence wasn't just a goal anymore. It was a weapon, a shield. I didn't just look for proof of the passport. I started paying attention to everything. The way Emily talked about me to her friends when she thought I wasn't listening, caught snippets about how I was trying too hard or thinking I'm better than everyone. The way my parents would subtly steer conversations away from my future plans. Oh, college is fine, but isn't it more important to think about settling down? It confirmed my deepest fears. They weren't just passively unsupportive. They were actively trying to keep me small, predictable, and under their thumb. The passport wasn't found. I pretended to keep looking half-heartedly. I even went to the local police station to file a missing person report, just in case, and got a copy of the report, another piece of paper, another potential piece of leverage. Emily seemed smug, probably assuming I'd missed my chance and was covering it up. My parents seemed relieved, like the problem, my potential departure, had sorted itself out. Their relief felt like a fresh betrayal. Then came the escalation. Maybe Emily felt confident she'd won. Maybe my parents decided to double down. A distant relative, Aunt Carol, who I was quite close to and who had always been genuinely supportive of my academic goals, called me. She sounded awkward. "Jenna, honey, listen, your mother, she mentioned something the other day about your scholarship interview. She said it didn't go well, and that maybe going away isn't the right thing for you anyway, that you're needed here. Is everything okay?" My blood ran cold. They weren't just sabotaging me at home. They were controlling the narrative, spreading misinformation to my relatives, isolating me further. They were painting me as a failure or someone who wasn't grateful or both. This wasn't petty sibling rivalry. This was a full-blown campaign. "Aunt Carol," I said, keeping my voice steady despite the fury building inside me. "Thank you for calling. Things are complicated here. Please don't believe everything you hear. I will update you myself when the time is right." This phone call was another turning point. It solidified my resolve. My plan had to be bigger. It had to address not just the passport, but the lies, the manipulation, the years of unequal treatment. It had to restore my reputation, not just get me out the door. I started planning the reveal. It couldn't be a quiet conversation. It had to be public enough that Emily and my parents couldn't sweep it under the rug or twist the story afterwards. A family gathering was perfect. The annual summer barbecue Aunt Carol always hosted seemed like the ideal stage. It was mandatory enough that everyone would be there, including the people my parents had been talking to. I continued my quiet preparations. I researched international shipping costs, figured out visa application steps, even looked into getting a replacement passport abroad just in case I couldn't retrieve mine, though I was increasingly certain I knew where it was. I saved more money. I practiced staying calm and collected under pressure. About a week before Aunt Carol's barbecue, I got lucky, real lucky. Emily left her phone on the kitchen counter while she went outside. A notification popped up on her screen, a message from her best friend Sarah. Normally, I would never snoop, but this wasn't normal. This was war, and she had fired the first shot. I quickly, hands trembling, opened her messages. Scrolling back, I found it, a conversation from the morning of my interview. "Sarah, hey girl. You okay? Seemed like chaos over there this morning, lol. Emily, OMG Sarah, you have no idea. Jenna almost had her big interview, but guess what? Heh heh heh. Sarah, Emily. Let's just say her passport decided to take a little vacation. Couldn't find it anywhere. She totally freaked out." Sarah, LOL, no way you didn't. Emily, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. She was going on and on about that stupid scholarship honestly needed to take her down a peg. And mom and dad totally backed me up. They were like, "Emily would never." Ha ha ha. Sarah, savage. So she missed it. Emily, yep, sucks to be her. Guess she's stuck here now lol. My heart was pounding with a mix of rage and triumph. This was it, undeniable proof. Not just that she took it, but why? And that our parents were complicit, supporting her lies and mocking my panic. I quickly took photos of the conversation on my own phone, backing them up to my cloud storage immediately. Then I deleted the message thread from Emily's phone and put it back exactly where I found it. My hands were still shaking, but it wasn't from fear anymore. It was from the power of finally holding the cards. Holding my phone with the photos of Emily's messages felt surreal. Years of suppressed anger, hurt, and confusion crystallized into one horrifying, undeniable truth. It wasn't just passive favoritism. It was active malice and complicity. Reading Emily's casual, cruel words about my distress, seeing her gloat about potentially ruining my future, and hearing that my parents laughed and sided with her, it felt like a physical blow. But instead of shattering me, it solidified my resolve further. There was no turning back. There was no patching this up with a simple conversation. This required a full exposure. My motivation was no longer just about getting my life back. It was about bringing their hidden cruelty into the light. It was about ensuring they faced the consequences of treating another human being, their own daughter and sister, with such utter disregard and cruelty. The sadness for the family I thought I had was immense, but it was dwarfed by the need for justice and self-preservation. I had to do this, not just for the scholarship, but for my soul. The day of the barbecue arrived. I dressed carefully, not overly flashy, but put together, confident. I arrived with a side dish I'd prepared, acting like everything was perfectly normal. Emily was already there, chatting loudly with some cousins, laughing. She glanced at me, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes, then looked away. My parents greeted me warmly, almost too warmly, the kind of forced, cheerful demeanor they adopted in front of relatives. It sickened me. As people ate and mingled, the conversation drifted. Someone asked Emily about her job. She went on and on, exaggerating her importance. Then someone turned to me. "So, Jenna, any news on that scholarship you applied for? That seemed like a big deal." It was Aunt Carol. She looked at me with genuine concern. I smiled. A slow, deliberate smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. I glanced at Emily, then at my parents. They were all watching me, varying degrees of apprehension on their faces. Emily looked almost bored, probably expecting me to mumble something about waiting to hear back or it didn't work out. "Actually, Aunt Carol," I said, my voice clear and steady, carrying just enough to make people nearby turn their heads. "I did hear back." A ripple of quiet anticipation went through the small group around us. I paused for effect. This was it, the first domino. "I got it," I announced, "the full ride scholarship to name a prestigious university location abroad." The reaction was immediate. Aunt Carol gasped, beaming. Other relatives started saying, "Congratulations, and that's amazing." My parents' faces were masks of shock. Mom dropped the serving spoon she was holding. Dad sputtered. Emily's smile vanished, replaced by a look of stunned disbelief, then horror. But, but how?" Emily blurted out, forgetting herself. You didn't have your documents." "Ah, there it is, the opening." I turned to Emily, my expression hardening. "You mean my passport, Emily? The one that went missing the morning of my interview? The one I desperately needed and you denied taking?" Emily's face went pale. I told you I didn't take it. I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. My parents quickly jumped in. "Now, Jenna, don't start this again. We told you Emily would never—" "Wouldn't she?" I interrupted them, my voice like ice. I pulled out my phone. "Because I have proof, Emily. And Mom and Dad, you might want to see this too." I opened the photos I'd taken of Emily's conversation with Sarah. I held the phone up, turning the screen towards them. I didn't need to read it aloud. The words were visible, damning. "Let's just say her passport decided to take a little vacation. Couldn't find it anywhere. She totally freaked out. Needed to take her down a peg. And Mom and Dad totally backed me up. Ha ha ha." Silence fell over the group, thick and heavy. All eyes were on Emily, my parents, and me. Emily looked like she was about to faint. My parents were beet red, looking between the phone in my hand and the shocked faces of their relatives. You went through my phone?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling, her last defense being outrage at my action, not her own. "You stole my passport and tried to ruin my future," I stated flatly. "Going through your phone to get proof was necessary to get justice. And it seems Mom and Dad were perfectly happy to let you do it, and then lied to Aunt Carol and everyone else about me failing." I looked at my parents, my voice breaking slightly, not from sadness, but from the force of my unleashed emotions. All those years, feeling like I wasn't enough, trying so hard, and you just let her do this? You backed her up? Did you actually want me to fail? Did you want me stuck here? Mom started crying, but it seemed more from embarrassment than remorse. Dad was speechless, running a hand through his hair. Emily was sobbing openly now, but still muttering excuses. Aunt Carol stepped forward, her face a mask of disappointment mixed with anger as she looked at Emily and my parents. "Is this true? You did this, Emily? And you knew?" The pressure was immense. Emily couldn't form coherent sentences. My parents mumbled something about misunderstanding and just being worried about Jenna. It was weak, pathetic. "There's no misunderstanding," I said, cutting through their excuses. "You wanted me to fail. You tried to sabotage me, but you didn't. Because unlike you, I planned ahead. I had backup, and I didn't need your help or your approval to succeed. Standing there, speaking my truth, holding the undeniable proof of their betrayal, a wave of incredible power washed over me. It wasn't the vengeful, dark power of wanting to hurt them as much as they hurt me. It was the power of finally being seen, of finally being heard, of reclaiming my narrative from the lies they'd spun. It was the cathartic release of years of suppressed frustration and pain. I wasn't yelling, but my voice was strong, steady, and filled with a quiet, devastating finality. I looked at their faces, the shock, the shame, the fear of exposure, and felt a profound sense of closure. They had lost. Not just this battle, but me. The barbecue ended abruptly after that. Relatives were awkward, some supportive of me, others clearly unsure how to react. Emily ran off crying. My parents tried to corner me, alternating between weak apologies and still trying to shift blame. Jenna, we're sorry, but you shouldn't have. Sorry for what? For trying to ruin my life? For lying to everyone? For never supporting me? I cut them off. It's too late for sorry. You showed me who you are, and I believe you. I didn't wait for a response. I calmly gathered my dish, said goodbye to Aunt Carol, and left. I drove straight to the storage unit, picked up the few essential boxes I had stored there, and checked into a cheap motel for the night. I couldn't stay in that house another minute. The next day, I went to the police station again, this time with the screenshots of Emily's messages. The officer took the evidence seriously, facing potential legal consequences, theft, tampering with federal documents like a passport. Emily finally, miraculously, found my passport. It was stuffed in the back of her closet, hidden inside an old shoebox. The police report, and the evidence I had, served as my legal documentation of what happened, providing a clear record of the incident. This wasn't just family drama anymore. It had a paper trail, a formal acknowledgement of the wrongdoing. With my passport back, I completed the final verification steps for the scholarship. The university was understanding, given the official police report. My visa was approved. My path was clear. I moved out completely within days, only returning with a friend to pack my remaining belongings while my parents and Emily were out. I left a brief note stating that I was leaving, starting my new life, and didn't wish to be contacted for a while. My new life was everything I had hoped for and more. Studying abroad was challenging, exhilarating, and opened my eyes to a world of possibilities. I thrived academically. I made new friends who celebrated my successes and supported me without reservation. The scholarship covered everything, giving me a financial freedom I'd never known. I managed my money carefully, built savings, and felt the profound satisfaction of true independence. Slowly, I built a new support system, a chosen family of friends and mentors who saw my worth and encouraged my growth. I didn't need the approval of my old family anymore. I had proven my capabilities to myself. I had recovered my honor by standing up for myself and exposing the truth, and I had achieved financial and personal freedom. My contact with my family is minimal. Emily has sent a few half-hearted, self-pitying messages, but never a genuine apology that acknowledges the severity of her actions. My parents occasionally text, asking how I am, trying to act like a normal family. But the trust is broken. The betrayal runs too deep. I have set firm boundaries, keeping them at a distance. My peace and well-being are my priority now. Looking back, the pain of that morning and the years leading up to it still lingers like a scar. But it's a reminder of how far I've come. I didn't let them break me. I used their cruelty as fuel. I didn't just survive, I created a thriving life from the ashes of their sabotage. The girl who was scared and lost in her own home is gone. In her place is a strong, independent woman who knows her worth and protects her peace fiercely. My story ends with me starting my new life, independent and happy. thousands of miles away from the toxicity I grew up in. But the question always lingers. Should I forgive my sister and parents after all? If it were you, what would you choose? A. Forgive and find a way to fix it, even if it's difficult. B. Cut it off completely, protect your own peace.